Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Hope you're comfy and sitting with a nice cup of coffee, because this one is going to be a long video. Pulled on all these here grinders and for repair, so we're going to do them all in one job lot, one big grinder repairathon video. So I've actually got 6 9-inch grinders on here and 5 4.5-inch grinders, and they all seem to be Bosch and Hitachi machines. So we're going to see what we can get fixed up out of the slot. Now these aren't all from one customer, they're from different people. 5 or 6 of them are actually in from one customer, the rest then are all from different people as well. So we're going to look at them all and see what we can actually get fixed up, or see what's actually worth fixing. It doesn't really matter where we start, because we're going to have to go through them all anyway. So we'll probably start one of the bigger ones, maybe. Probably a newer looking one. So we'll try one of the cookies maybe. Okay, so the cookie is going to be the first casualty. And this is a modern looking one, fairly fresh. This is the G23ST. It's from 2021. I'm hoping a lot of these are simply leads and brushes, because if they all need bearings and a lot of work, I'm going to be at this here for hours. So we're going to see what they're all like here. This one I'm hoping is not too bad because it's new. That's not a good start anyway. What's going on there? Guard's on right, but it's actually cut through here, look. And there's a wobble on the blade. That's just a fantastic start. Give a wee quick flick of the trigger, see what she does first. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot wrong with that one. Something sheared on side. The blade's actually not been driven by the motor, she's just getting a little bit of a spin, but you can see the motor starting before the blade spins. So there's something going on there. It's a brand new blade as well. Unless this thing's got a drop and bent the guard or done something to the head. Must be damaged somewhere else too, as well as just here. Right, first off, see why she's not turning. Right, that's not so bad. The gear has actually just come loose, so this here nut is backed off and the gear's just sitting there. That's an easy enough fix. Don't even need to take this off, but a wall just to check there's no other damage. These don't actually take a keyway or anything, it's just the pressure of the nut holding the gear on. But if they run for too long like that, they can actually strip out or wear out the shaft and be a slack fit. But that's actually alright, there's nothing wrong with that. That bearing's okay. This one might be a little bit loose or slack. So we'll just pop that out and see if we need to change it. Yeah, that's no good. It's not gone, but we already have it apart, so we may as well change it. So that's just a 6301 bearing. There's a little rubber seat for it to actually sit inside of. Question is, why was the blade wobbling? Was it the blade, or was it the way it was put together, or the shaft? Plenty of grease in this thing anyway. Good thick grease as well. You wouldn't actually normally put Loctite on these, but I want to make sure it doesn't do this again. Hold the armature then in a vise to lock it and tighten that up good and tight. Now, I normally put a little bit of extra grease on sometimes, but there's plenty in that one. Wouldn't want to put anything extra into that. Feel looks okay. I have to just see where she was actually wobbling. Imagine if anything's going to be down to the front and back flange, because it's very, very difficult to bend this here shaft for the head. Either that or the head just wasn't on correctly. That seems alright. Just stick her back together again, see what she runs like, and then we'll check to see what was actually causing the wobble. Normally we'll have to put another blade on to see what it's running like. See what she sounds like first. Seems okay. The disc is flat. Might just be the way that disc is, or the flange is sitting, but there does seem to be a little bit of a wobble on it. Could also just be the way the fella actually fitted this. I just mightn't have had it centered right. No, definitely something wobbling there. Right. We'll chance that first. Hopefully it's not this. Right, it might be the back flange. This isn't the correct one for this grinder, but it might do. Unless the one that came off has actually been ground down a lot. So something happened there. Shouldn't see anyway. Ah, that's not right. We'll just try another disc. Just in case, because these flat discs here, perfectly flat ones, you can sometimes get a wobble on them. They're not always perfectly true. It's actually the discs here with the dimple in the middle. They're actually concaved in the centre. These ones are actually run a lot truer. So I'll just chance that and see. Yep. It is just the disc. I wonder if there's anything wrong with that flange at all. There's a little bit of play in it. Not much. So we'll just change that anyway. Most of these here front and back flanges for all 9-inch grinders and a lot of 4.5-inch grinders are all the same. As long as they actually fit onto here, they'll all do the same job. Because they all the centre arbors in the middle for holding the disc, they're all the same size. They're all doing the same job no matter what brand you buy. Yeah, that's a lot better. So it's actually the disc that had the wobble. So it mustn't be just manufactured perfectly. Now, I'm not trying to say this brand disc is at fault. There's something wrong with it. It's just all flat discs like this here. They can all have a general wobble on the blade and the actual thing when it's running. It just is in the design of them. They just can't get them perfectly flat. Some brands are worse than others, but it doesn't matter. Even a good brand, you'll still get the odd one with a wobble. It's something we've encountered in the hardware shop plenty of times before. So we've seen it before. We don't sell flat discs for every branded stuff. The ones we find are the best are Taff, Klingspur and Turlite. We take them on flat discs for customers that actually want them flat. They seem to have less of a wobble. But the dimpled ones like this here, they all seem to work perfectly. Now the actual guard, normally I would like to replace it, but I don't have another one of these Hitachi ones here. I do have a couple of spare ones second hand, but they're actually in worse state than this here one, so a wee bit of wear there, but it should be alright. It's not going to cause the grinder any harm. Actually, no, that'll not do. It must be bent. She's not sitting right at all. So that yard will have to go. Yeah, it is actually bent down there, so it must have got a drop or something. Right, let's see if I have a second hand one. Now this one doesn't look as good. It's a wee bit banged up, or actually just mainly rusted. But much prefer function over form. So at least it'll do the job. It's going to an engineering company, so they're not going to be too bothered about what it looks like. That'll do nicely. I definitely don't have to replace the lead in this one. Look at the size of that. That must be 2.5mm cable they're using there. It's definitely heavy duty enough anyway. The other thing I'll do is just remove that blade, because that's actually my one. Need that for testing. Now, that's the first one done. Now, I was going to say, take a wee quick and easy one next. Wee 4.5-inch Bosch, but this ain't going to be quick nor easy. Or at least I don't think so. That ain't right anyway. It's not the guard rattling, it's the whole spindle. This crowd must be hard on the tools anyway. Right. I would normally say that might not be worth fixing, but this is actually an older Bosch grinder. That's the GWS 9/115, and only 9/115, no S at the end. So this is the older version, and you can tell from the thickness of it. This is just a big, heavy duty 900-watt grinder, and these are actually fantastic machines. Don't get them now. Now you get them with the S, the soft start on the bottom, which they're not as good anymore. They're just not as heavy duty as these used to be. I'm not going to switch this on just yet, so I don't know what I'm pulling the plug out for. First, I'm going to take off this head. So you can see that's completely disintegrated, the bearing and sidler. She failed, and they just kept on going and going. See how much that was flapping about. It's amazing they were able to keep it running for so long. And the gears look okay. No, maybe not. No, they're chewed up down here actually. Broken there. So they're not going to be okay. So if they're gone, this gear will be gone as well. I've chewed that a little bit. So we may as well change both of them as a pair. But at least the armature still turns. So we'll see if the motor's liking it now before we go any further. Right, nothing wrong with that. brushes are just about gone as well, so I'll just replace them too. You can tell this is a heavier duty one just by the brushes. Look how thick they are. A big heavy duty brush for doing heavy duty work. Now because that top bearing's gone, also just check the other bearings, because normally the bearings on the armature will fail before this here top one, unless they've obviously been changed before. Pull it out and test, check them anyway. Yeah, that one's not good. I'll pull this one off. The armature's okay. Let's see, this one's gone. Yeah, that one's gone too. So they're normally a 607 and a 608. So I'm going to have to get now bearing plate here, this top flange, a new gear, and a new bevel gear here as well. Inside, I was going to say it'll be alright, but now I might just give it a wash it as well, just in case. Right, 2 new bearings, heads washed out. Now the head of this also damaged this here steel bush, so it's probably just as well, because I can't get, or I don't have in stock, a new one of these. Problem with this 9/115 is this here gear and the head all comes together. I have loads of these heads and gears for other Bosch grinders and stock, but not one as a complete kit like this, so you can't buy these separately for this model. But if this does fail on you and doesn't break the gears, you can use a very similar one, this plastic head with the bearing on it. You can go for the same model but with the flappy paddle switch, same head, just different part number, that part there. But it doesn't help me now because I still need the gears and I don't have them. So instead I'm going to go with the second hand one. Bearing's still okay in this one and the gears are still good as well, so I'm going to use a second hand one, probably just as well, because if this here's worn out I could be wasting a lot of money on a brand new one, so this will work out cheaper and suit this man better. Plus a new set of brushes. For these older ones it's 1607 000 V37, these bigger heavier duty brushes. So right, we'll get this back together again. Yeah, 607 on the bottom, the top one was a 608. I'll just press that one on. Little rubber insert sits in there, that helps hold the bearing. The C-clip holds it all down. Drop your gear in, Get your nut on top. Screw that on. Same as the last one. Use a vise to hold the armature and tighten up that nut. And a good dollop of grease inside. Good heavy gear grease. A little on there too. Now the side with the wee hole on it, the dimple, faces down here. That's to allow the spring for the quick release for your blade guard to move. Why is that not going on? There we go. Actually just that tight. It's actually that tight, I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually new. It is actually new. Them holes in the actual plastic. Never even had a screw resting against them. So this has never actually been screwed onto anything. This must have been taken out and you bought on for a machine that then wasn't fixed. That's brand new. Here's me saying I didn't have one in stock. Must have had one, didn't even realise. Nice one. What year is she now? 2016. So she's about 8 years old. Can't remember when they actually stopped making these things. But this particular crowd, I think they've all changed over to basically Hitachi machines now. So this might be the last one of the heavy duty Bosch ones I get in from them. Oh, wrong. That's the longer one. Lastly, wee brushes. And that'll keep this thing running for a few more years. See what that runs like. What does she run like? doesn't run well with a 110 plug. 240 volt running here, 240 volt machine. That was never going to run right from day one, was it? Half the power, you half the speed. It's meant to be a 13 amp 220 volt socket on this. Obviously the boy took the machines in, knew this mistake could happen, so he got 220 volt on the actual machine. But still, somebody's put on a 110 volt plug. That's why people ask me, why am I changing plugs and leads in machines? Surely the company can do it themselves. That's come from an engineering company. As you can see, they can't always do it. Just because it's an engineering company doesn't mean everybody on the floor as an engineer. Get rid of that. And fit one of these. This here in Ireland is a domestic plug. All the power here is 220 volt or 240 volt. When you're going to a site then, for safety, it has to be reduced down to 110 volt. So you carry around a transformer. So site work, you're seeing them yellow plugs, but for everything else, you're seeing a 240 volt plug like this. Just going to nip that, start again. Plus, he was actually using 3-core wire. That's why that's a little bit thicker. I don't need the earth. This is just a class 2 machine, only takes the live and the neutral. Now, let's see what she runs like with the correct voltage going through it. Much better. So that's her. A heavy duty Bosch GWS 9/115, the one without the variable speed. Fixed up again with a new gear head, new brushes, bearings, and the proper plug. So much for me hoping these are all going to be quick fixes. First two haven't been quick anyway. Let's see what's wrong with this one. That's from a different crowd. At least she turns. That's a skinny plug. I'll have to change that as well. Can't leave it like that. It's good enough for me to test. Right, nothing. Surely somebody must have got a wee tickle of that once or twice when they're pulling the plug out. Right, we'll check. I have a number on this already. I will check the brushes, seeing as it's easier. No, it's not them. Just check the wee connector to the field at the back here as well. This brush connects onto this wee spade connector, but that's connected onto the field. Sometimes they can break away. That one's not. Right, next, run to the lead. For this crowd, it normally has a lead. They're erecting steel frame sheds and that, so generally they be up on heights doing different jobs, and they must tend to hand a lot of machines down from scaffolding a lot of the time. They always seem to come on with broken leads. So that's going to be my guess for this one. either a lead or a fuse. Either way, this plug has to go. No, that is the lead. Just get rid of all of that. You can see I've changed this one before. This lead has the same red bootless ferrules on it. Well, at least this is one simple fix. Hopefully a lot more go the same way. Slide that back in. Not forgetting your grommet. There's always a good plug when you have a cable clamp on it. Stops anybody from pulling out the lead. For power tools, it needs to have the clamp. They're just really annoying to fit. Now, that should be her. That's it. Just the lead. Let's hope the rest are as simple as that. Hopefully anyway, because there's a lot more Bosch to do. Now, I have to throw a wee Instafix into this one. Somebody's just dropped this on for repair. This is the first 40 volt Makita tool I've actually got in here to the workshop. The XGT range. A TD001G 36 to 40 volt max impact driver. And she's not new. 2020. This is the first 40 volt tool I've actually got on, and it's not even actually broken, and I can't even test it because it hasn't left the battery, and I haven't even taken on a 40 volt Makita battery yet. The only thing that's wrong with it is the tool holder. He's got a bit jammed on it, 12mm spade bit, and I can't get it out. So these might be 40 volt, but I would imagine the same gear inside, same motor and all. They're just taking 18 volts out of the battery instead of 40 volts. But they're built the exact same way anyway, either way. If they get jammed on you, you can just dismantle the tool holder to actually get the bit out. So same as the other one. There's a little spring clip in here. You might need two pokey things to actually get it out. Try a different way. Not the tight space to get on there. Needs something a little bit more pokey. Hook that. Get off your C-clip, little washer, your spring and your sleeve. You have two steel balls. Now you have to get the butt out. This is actually fairly jammed on there. It's really well jammed on. Spade bits aren't exactly designed for impact drivers. More designed for drills. So they're not as hard. But I don't see why that one jammed. Normally they twist up or something. Seems okay. Yeah, 9-bit goes on. This one doesn't. It's just too tight. Doesn't appear to be any damage anyway. Looks okay. Brand new bit's not tight either, so tool holder should be fine. Must be just this here bit. Either it's oversized, too thick, or it's just a cheaper bit and it's deformed in some way. Either way, it ain't going into this properly. Get a little bit of grease on there to help these move and to hold them on. Drop them in, your sleeve on, your spring, your washer, and then gently, without letting everything go flying everywhere, clip that spring clip back on again. Should be a lot easier with the sleeve being able to move. And obviously don't put that back in again. That's her. The first 40 volt Makita repaired. Now onto the grinders again. Right, we'll go with one of the Hitachis next. Or Hikoki. No, actual Hitachi. It's the older ones. These can be hit or miss. They want to be a simple fix, or don't bother fixing it, because these are so cheap to buy they can end up being too expensive to fix. So if you had to replace bearings and brushes and a lead, that would actually be too expensive. They wouldn't be worth it. A lead on its own, or bearings on its own, or brushes on its own, fair enough. You'd be able to do it then, but not all together. Hope that wasn't running when that broke. Right, see if she works. Right, hopefully it has a lead, because it's going to need a lead. How old is this one? 2017. Right, nothing. The really annoying one. They actually glue on the screws, make it even harder to get them out. Just to be awkward. Whoever it was on the Hitachi design team that thought this was a good idea needs a good sharp kick up the hole. That there serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever, apart from just making it difficult to change a lead. Not even glued in, it's just a little bit of silicone plopped on top. Right down on the head of the screw. You know, rightly, if you mess up doing that, you strip out the head of the screw, you're also replacing the switch. I always take note the way they go on. The neutral just comes straight over to here, and the live wraps around the back and over this side. They don't both go the same way. They both come out this side underneath this little speed controller. Which also has to come out of the way. Brushes are okay in this as well, so should get away with just the lead. Try not to leave these wires too short. a new lead to attach onto this wire and actually reach back here. It's too short, this ain't going to fit. That should be that one. Now these have a molded plug, so obviously have to change the plug as well. But if it's only these two things, it'll be well worth doing. Now, what should sound like. Perfect. Nice, sweet, cheap fix. Too easy and too complicated so far. Let's hope they keep it easy. Now, we'll move on to probably the oldest and most used grinder here. This is another old Hitachi, the G23SC2. This would have been a decent enough one on its day. 2200 watt motor. Not sure the year of it. The disc has definitely got its money's worth out of it anyway. And look at the nut. What is going on there? You're not all the way down to the nub anyway. Nut must have failed and it's actually welded on. A big nut instead. Right, hopefully he's welded that on a vise or something and not on that there spindle. Right, this one's going to be bearings anyway. She's a 240 volt and it's got an old white lid on it. Not the best of quality. And it is damaged, live wires exposed, so that'll have to be replaced as well. Now which way is this man, left or right handed? Must be right-handed, but he's got the handle on the other way around. So you can buy more expensive grinders, you can adjust the handle position. These ones here you can do the same thing, but you just have to unscrew the handle and rotate it around. There's only 2 wires coming out of one here anyway. Normally you can rotate them. That and the head. So let's see if this one even still works. Oh, she works anyway. But she doesn't sound good. The bearing's gone and it sounds like one's collapsed down here. And the brush holder's gone. And the brushes are gone. Right, money is starting to mount. That's cracked right across there, so I'll have to drill that out. You can also just smash it out if you want to. It's not that big a deal. Has to be replaced anyway. No, not gonna turn. Sometimes they'll turn when you do that, but obviously not this time. Destructive, but you're only breaking the cap. It's broken already because she's pressed out. She's actually protecting the internal threads. They'll not be damaged unless you actually hit sideways and hit that with a hammer or screwdriver, but otherwise that'll do it no harm. New nut as well. And a wee wipe, a wee scrub before we go into it. That's tight. I think we know why. Oh, good job I opened that. She is bone dry and them gears are well worn. Look at that. That hasn't been running on much grease for a long time. Right. Don't know if that's going to be worth it or not. This is an old one. Yeah, that's definitely gone anyway. How much damage did it do? Right, I'm not sure about this one. These are an awkward one because the bearing actually goes on the back here, not down like a standard one. It doesn't go into the armature here and slide on. The armature goes on, then the bearing is on at the back. I can't get this out because the actual bearing's melted on the piece of plastic at the back of here. That's gone. In other words, the housing is also gone. Yeah, it is. It's melted down there. Oh, this piece is actually missing, but we probably could have got away with that. But the bearing's not actually sitting in the hole. Yeah, a little too slack. It might not work. See if I have a second-hand housing by any chance. Nah, no joy. No housing. And there's not much point in changing that bearing. There's nothing to actually seat on here. So this, sad to say, is not going to be worth fixing. Stick it back together again so we can send it out the door. To be honest, it was getting a little bit too pricey anyway. Even if I had been able to fix it. At the end of the day, it's a very old machine. If it needed brushes, 12 or 14 euro, a lead at a tenner. All this washed out, second-hand housing potentially. Even if I had a second-hand one, it would still be about 10 euro or so. Brand new housings cost me about 40 or 50. Bearings at 6 or 7 euro each. Take it this one. That one was okay. 2 bearings. But then the gears inside of here are also well worn. Still. That's about 40 odd euro in parts. And your labour on top of that, and your VAT. You would be getting to be quite an expensive repair. Now I'm not putting this together right, I'm just sticking it together. You're probably looking at about 70 or 80 euro for that fix. And for an old grinder like this, it might not be worth it. Very good grinder it is, but would the customer want to spend that kind of money on it? Doubtful. Just leave it at that. If he ever needs spare parts, he can get them. Plus there's also still going to need a top nut as well, and the caps too. See, it's not been fixed. I'm just going to cut that lead off because that is damaged anyway. Right, so that's the first one not repaired. Right, another Hitachi. Again, could be a lead. Come to mount the brakes that's on it. That's not a new piece of insulating tape either. That's been on there a while. How many times I have to brake before they actually... Yeah, that might not be worth fixing. Gears are stripped out. So that's a lead and a plug. It's a molded plug. And a set of gears by the sounds of it. Actually not the gears. Same as the Bosch one. The actual flange is gone. So that's what's flapping about. Wash this first. Looks like somebody was just trying to pump in grease to see if that quietened it down. Obviously that didn't work. Right, we'll wash it first to see. If it's only this, it might be worth it. Right, after washing it out, it's not going to be worth fixing. Gears are also damaged. Not much, but enough to make it noisy. If I change that bearing and get this up and running again, it's still going to sound terrible. So they're all chewed up. They look okay. There's a sharp burr all the way around. That one's gone, so will that one be. So this just ain't going to be worth it. That's a tenner. The gears are probably, what, another tenner. The leads 8, plugs 4. So even if it was only this I was changing, that there's what, €22. Then what, €10 for labour. A little bit of grease under there, what, $5. That's €37 plus your VAT. Nah, it's going to be too much. You could probably buy these here for about €70 or €80. So actually fixing them is just not going to be worth it. You have to remember as well, these boys are an engineering company, so they could be buying these on wholesale and getting them even cheaper. So they have to actually be worth the money to fix. And then it has to be cheap enough in comparison to a new machine. That's just not going to be. Next, we'll go with one of the Bosches. Big 9-inch. It's a GWS 22/230 hitch. It's actually the same as the first one. There's something wrong in there. Right, this one's actually off a fishing boat. So I'd imagine, oh, there's what's wrong there. I'd imagine this is going to be well rusted up, just like the guard actually is, and the spindle. So let's say this one's actually been sitting for a little while. I think that's the problem anyway. The lock button is missing, so the spring's gone. So if that's jammed down, it's going to be jamming up the gear as if the lock button's pressed. Might be anyway. Open her up and see. Always a good start when the first thing you go for it is rusted on. Hopefully they're not all like this. Still tight. Finally. That's a great start. Again, clean that head. Already got the smell of fish of it. I'm going to say this mightn't even be very old, this machine. It's actually 2016. It's done a little bit of work. Back to the hand unpack driver. Just in case you ever haven't seen one before, as an unpacked screwdriver. If you press it down, it actually turns. If you press this down, so you actually slap it with a hammer. So you're slapping onto it, hitting it down, driving it into the head of the screw so it doesn't slip, and at the same time torquing it round. It's a great way to get old seized screws out when it works. There we go. So that bearing does spin. So does the armature. So it is just this. Yeah, it's all deformed. That was jammed up. Press the pin and the button. Should run again. That sounds like something might be rubbing on here. Something rubbing, or could be just dirty. So I imagine this has been lying up for a little while too. This is just that air deflector. Yeah. Just dirty. I'm not going to bother washing this out, simply because I've spotted something else. That housing's cracked. So somebody must have locked the button on when the machine was running, tried to stop it, or else knocked it on whenever it's just slowing down. And this here lock button, the bar, it's just torqued over or levered over to one side, cracked the aluminium housing. These are not stop buttons, people. They're just lock buttons to lock the blade so you can actually turn the nut to take it off. They're not designed to actually stop the blade even when it's just slowing down, especially not when the machine's running. You're just going to trash the aluminium housing if you do that. So this is now going to need a new gear head. and a handle, because that's well rusted on too. Right. Again, to the vise, get this nut off. I think the armature itself is alright. Seems okay. Right, see if I have a gear head for this. Right, might be sorted. This is a bit of an odd one. New gear head. Never been used, or looks like it was tried. Bit of grease on it. It's been in stock an awful long time. Bit odd that I even have this. This is off a PWS 1800, part number 160700968. See that long? The number's actually faded off. The head we need for this grinder is 1607000C32. This one costs €47, which would be well worth doing. This one for the old green DIY machine costs 78, is the one I have in stock. Wouldn't be worth it at that price. Definitely wouldn't be worth fixing a green DIY Bosch at that price. But it's old stock. See when it's faded in the sun. It's old stock, and I'll just do it at this price to get rid of it. So this should do the exact same job. Everything else is the same part numbers and everything. And everything else seems to match up well. It's even the same paint that's on it actually. Different air deflector, mind you. Let's ring down on here. But hopefully that doesn't matter. We'll soon find out when we put it together. No, it won't work. Not work with that air deflector anyway. Get rid of that. And we'll fit the correct one. Hopefully this is all that's actually different about it. Nope. That way. Now, does that work? Nice one. Same as the last one. Tighten this up on the vise. Right. If this works, it's getting a new bearing, new pin, and a new head. New bearing here. This one's actually fine anyway. You don't need to change that one. These Bosch grinders as well. It's handy. Plastic cover comes off. But the numbers aren't actually on the plastic cover. The numbers are on the body. This is just to protect the numbers. So if you can't make out what it is, serial number or the type number and everything, you just pull that off. Get a nice fresh look at it. Might not work. Nah, it won't. Totally different actually. I need that to hold in the field. So this has to be right. So in other words, this head's not going to work. It must be smaller diameter here. So that won't actually fit on. Right. Gonna have to leave this one then. Don't have a head and I have nothing second hand for it. The bigger grinders, the 23s, but not these here 22s. I'm gonna have to order the new head on and just wait for it. So that's all I can do with this one for now. Right, a lot of insta fixes today. There's another one. Customer says this is just a chuck though. Still working. But he says he's fed up with it. Keeps jamming on him, can't get the butt out, can't get it tightened. So we're just going to change this. Saying crack, low speed drill mode. Get the screw out. This one might be a little small drill, but it's still brushless. So that shock will still be on quite tight. So instead of giving it a slap of the hammer, I'm actually just going to dismantle this just in case. It'll probably be quicker to cut it, but it's hard to cut it without cutting into this here plastic sleeve as well. So we'll just dismantle. What is this one? DHP 484. Nice wee small compact brushless machine. Not the biggest thing in the world. It's not going to do the heavy duty work, but I think this man is using it for heavier duty work. That's why the chuck's not up to scratch. Give it a quick wipe down so the dust gets inside. Right, a chance doing this in one piece. See if it works. Take it off in one go and see if I can put it back on again in one go. I need to lock this. There's a much smaller drill than the normal one, so smaller bit. This is for the bigger drills. This one you can just use an E10 spline bit or Torx bit. And the back end, 10mm Allen key. Tighten that on. We can still tighten this, luckily. It's a bit more awkward. It's a bit more awkward. The chuck's totally seized. I'll stick that in the vise. That's it off. Now also, just lock on the new chuck. I'm just using one of these generic steel chucks, nothing special. screw that back on. Put her on about good and tight. Now for the tricky bit. Your change levers at the top. That's going there. And your modes are at the top on this red arrow. So it's dropping on this way. Hopefully these little steel pins don't drop out just. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's this here boy that you need to get on first, and the actual splines for the spindle. So they are off at an angle like that. Nice one. Doesn't always go as smooth as that, but luckily this time it did. Actual stator and motor aren't actually connected together, there's no magnet. You're pulling your rotor out first, and the stator's not connected. You hold gearbox and just come straight out. There's nothing actually holding it back. So it makes it a lot easier and quicker to change the chuck like that. Point your change lever, hook it at the back, and hook it onto them springs. And it can just drop straight on again. And that's her. One wee quick fix. That's her. Last thing then. There's one screw. Tighten her up. It's job done. That's her. One quick insta fix. Ready to go. Now, back to the grinders. Another Bosch one, same as the last one. GWS 22/230 hitch. This one at least turns. This will be a simpler one. Still the original lead too, with a moulded plug. Nothing. And again, snub brushes. They're brand new. The sheen doesn't look brand new, mind you. More than likely I'd say it's a lead. Bit of corrosion on that one, look. Doesn't matter though, it's still moving. And it's still connected over there. Actually the live, just in case. You'd think this would be a common thing. The fuse just been gone, but it's actually not very common. Most boys check the fuse. Rarely is it ever that. Normally always a lead. Let's replace this one too. That should get this one up and running again. There's not much point worrying about the corrosion on the brushes when I got there, because like I say, this is off a fishing boat as well. It's not going to be long till it starts to corrode again. These on as well. We should be good to go. That's her. New lead, new plug. What does she run like now? Or does she run? That's her. Another nice simple one. Ready for work. Now this one, I don't know. Don't think I got any story on this one actually. Just dropped under the shop. So this is a Bosch GWS 9/115S. So this is the newer version of the big old one we done earlier. And this man is getting his money's worth out of the disc now. Grinding disc worn all the way down. Fitted wrong too. It's actually not got it in the slot for the spindle. Oh, that actually might be the problem, look. It's not locking. So we probably can't get the disc off, that's what's wrong. Wait till we see. I'll make sure she's running here first. If she's running, we'll just fix the head. she is working, and she's got a bit of a vibration out of her as well, so she's not sitting square either. Now it looks like the SDS drill trick might not work in this. There's no holes. Well, there is 2 holes there. Maybe it would work, but I'd rather not, just in case it does damage this nut, because this is just a quick release nut. It's not the Bosch click nut, but still. Cost what, 10 or 15 euro for them. We'll give it a light try and see if it does anything. Lovely. And didn't even damage it. So that was the problem there. He didn't have it sitting on. And it's not the right back and flange as well. So that was never going to run right. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. We'll see what's going on inside of here. Looks like the pin might just be rounded over. Will that be all it is? Might be. Rounded over, or maybe bent. Might have been something else in the end of that. I'm not 100% sure. We'll get out a new one and see what it looks like. That's in there. 188. So there's the actual push button, comes with a little kit. 1619 P12188. This is the one for the 915S. Only cost like €2 or €3 for this. It's dirt cheap. Comes with the button, the pin and the spring. Now there's nothing broke off it. Sometimes they have another wee pin sticking out. They're not, it's just a flat bottom. But it looks like maybe that one could have rounded over and created a burr this side, so it's actually sticking out maybe. Might not just be going onto this here hole. That might just slide straight in, and it's a snug fit. So if it's burred over, it might not be sliding in. So we'll replace that. And couldn't be easier to do, because you get everything. You can just prise it off. Prise that out. Pull out your spring. Clean in there, because normally it gets packed up with dirt, which could also be the problem here. Maybe that. Yeah, that might be what it is. That might not be letting the button down. Might not need to replace the switch or the button at all, but a €2 or €3 for the part. May as well just change it, because if you do change it, you can actually take off the button and clean out underneath. When you actually prise these things off, generally they get mangled up. There's no real way to take them off without doing any damage because it's a press fit on. You can sometimes take them off, but more than likely they'll get damaged in some way. I'll just clean that out and put the new one on. Thought this was a little O-ring, but it's not. It's just a piece of the actual cap on top. It's actually broken away. So that slides on. New spring on. Your new button. Make sure you're putting it on the right way around. And then get something tall to sit on. Just going to use an old piston. Set that. Or set the pin on the piston and then tap that into place. Just a hammer, a lump hammer or something. And that's it. That should be a nice wee simple fix for this one. Plus a new back flange as well, actually. Much better. Backing flange, if you ever need it, 2605 703 014. And that actually costs more than this little kit here, this little pin kit. Even though you're probably selling more of these things, quite a lot more actually. That there's about 7 or 8 euro. This here is saying is about 2 or 3. Even the O-ring set inside of this is actually more expensive than that there button. That costs 2, that O-ring costs 3. So that's how cheap that wee part actually is. So that's the one it needs there. It actually fits in and is centered. And there's nothing wrong with this old nut. That should be it. 2 little parts, cost less than a tenner, and it's up and running again. Yes, sir. All ready for work. Right, last of the little 4.5 inch Hitachi grinders. And this one again is going to need a lead anyway. It's cut several places, plus it's already been shortened. Might be burnt out as well. No, might be burnt out, maybe just jammed up. Brushes are also gone. It's not going to be worth fixing. I still have to look. Yeah, gears are all chewed up, smashed up there, and the armature doesn't even turn. So probably this bearing's failed, that's what it's fallen on, and got on and chewed up the gears. Bearings then collapsed completely. It's totally failed and jammed the motor. So it's going to need new gears, a new flange as well, because that's actually gone, new bearings, new brushes, and a new lead. That's going to need far too much. It's just not going to be worth it. The lead, brushes and plug alone and parts is actually €20 for this. And you throw on 2 bearings as well, and this bearing flange, you're onto another, what's that there, nearly €20. And that there gear could be another 10 again. You're easily into €50 on parts. This thing to buy is about €60. It's so cheap. You even get these some places for about €50. So it's just not worth spending much money on them. Even better than that, €160 will actually buy you this particular one, the G12 STX and the bigger 9-inch grinder together as a kit. 2 of them for €160. So these are cheap to buy, which also makes them a little bit expensive to repair whenever they get to a certain point. That ain't going to be fixed. Just cut that off. They know it's not worth fixing and nobody tries to plug it in again. Now, last up in this big pile of never-ending grinders is another Bosch 9-inch. And this is the same as the last two, GWS 22/230H. This one has this one has 2 problems straight away. One, I think that locking nut has been put on back to front, or upside down. That's the actual Bosch click nut. There's meant to be 2 holes on top. If you put them on upside down, they are extremely difficult to get off. I think that's upside down, yeah. That's one problem. Second problem is that by the feels of it, there's something sticking. Right, so that's the gears. Either a broken gear tooth or something inside the gearbox here, causing that jam. Right, we'll see if we can get this off first without destroying it. Get out the big pliers. Oh, lovely. Even more wrong with it. The lock button's jammed. It's actually not even just jammed, it's destroyed. You can see it's bent to one side, so maybe that's what's actually jamming up the gearbox. Where's my good screwdriver? It's a good tough one. So yeah, this could be the same as the last one. Gearbox, the gear head could be actually broken as well. It's not very often you see the heads break, especially the actual lock pin bending over like that. More than likely from somebody pressing it when it's running, but you don't see it very often, especially 2 in the one day. Right, how am I doing this then? Grip with this, turn with this. Nope, that's a click not feeling. So that's destroyed. Unless I can drill a hole in it and use the SDS drill to actually knock it off, because like I say, when you put them on upside down, this is the plate that's meant to be pushing down. The two holes are on the other side. Not that they're functional, but if it jams up you can use them to actually knock it off. Without them, that doesn't come off. No, it's too hard to drill, or at least it's going to take too long to drill. Go with the grinder instead. So to see if we can get a track in it. I think it did work, it's just outer race is just turning. Whole thing's come apart, but at least it's off. And that's what's actually inside of them. 3 wee springs, a couple of steel plates. They'll be pushing back, pushing the plate down. And if you release it then, it takes the tension off, freeing it up. So that's the top side. You need those two nuts facing up. Put them on upside down, you're onto the right handling to get them off. Plus, you have to replace the nut down. What are these side handles today? They're all stuck on, rusted on. Very good nuts them though. Extremely handy. Saves you from taking out the spanner. You can just take them off with one hand. That's only if you're using them correctly. I once had a young fella come onto the shop once with one of these Bosch grinders. Man with his girlfriend. And he walked up to the counter, lifted the Bosch grinder and literally threw it as hard as he could down the counter and just started effing and blinding, telling me to get that effing thing off of that grinder. That nut is jammed on. He wasn't a happy bunny. He says he was trying for about an hour with the grinder and a vice holding the blade, trying to get the lock nut off, would not shift. His girlfriend was standing behind him. I literally just took one hand on the nut and turned it, and it came off with zero resistance, and your man's jaw just dropped. All I could just say was, that's a lock nut. You don't need any tools, you just twist it. And he stormed out of the shop in a very, very bad mood. Right, same as the last one. That's 2 in 1 day. I don't think I've changed a single head in one of these grinders in about 2 years, and there's 2 of them now on the 1 day. Unreal. I was actually thinking if this wasn't worth fixing, I could even have swapped it over to this one. Can't do that now. Right, 2 of those to order now.